All right. Yay. It is our final night of the Miami Book Fair or Book Festival. I always get confused on which ones those are, but I'm human. So we're here with Rock Hill Publishing and all of their authors. So ask any questions that you have. We'll be talking about what's coming up for Rock Hill Publishing, what's coming up for all these authors, if they have any promos and bundles going on, and kind of just last minute tips and tidbits. So Sandy, I'm going to kick it on over to you.
Yay! I am very excited. This is the last day. It's been a fun week. I feel like we've spent every evening together for at least 30 minutes and learned a lot. And some of them, I want all of you to tell like one thing that's really stood out for you this week. And I have to say that one of the things that has stood out for me this week was David reading from his book. That was so great. It was so unexpected to hear the author and use that different voice that he came. I was just really, I did like that. And so lots of others. Another thing that stood out for me was John's reading of his book. And it wasn't that you used a different voice or anything like that, John. It was that portion that you read was very moving. And I just really got a lot out of that. So all the rest of you, it's been great. I got something from each one. Always learned it. I like to learn more about Haley's book and the Nonagon, one of my first ever fantasy book to read all the way through. So I'll always remember that, Haley, is your book. And I still love to find out more about the book, the story, the Nonagon, all of that. So, and then of course, Mark, I just love you. He's always eloquent. And when he reads or he talks, I can't tear myself away from what he's saying. I just think even though his book is not my genre, I do love to hear him read from it, and I love to hear what he has to say. So all of you, and then James and Athena, you guys get to lead the pack. And so this has been great. Zach is not here yet, but when he gets here, we'll hear from him a little bit. This is the last night, and I want to start with Haley. What's any one thing that stood out for you this week?
Honestly, the entire thing has stood out. I have been to the Miami Book Fair in 3 completely different ways. So the first year, 2018, I came in as just, a patron of the fair, and I was looking for a publisher, and I found James and Athena. And then in 2019, I came back and I worked the booth with them, and I was like, I'm going to be a published author. This is really cool. And then this year, I am a published author, but it's online. It's been just 3 drastically different experiences, and I've loved the entire thing. I feel like every time I do this, it's a completely different wild ride, and it's just always so much fun.
That's great. I loved how you call it a wild ride. So don't you sometimes feel like when you go to these book festivals / fairs, it is like a ride. It's like a roller coaster. You get up in the morning, and especially when you're in person, and it just starts out with a bang. And by the time it ends that night, you're just like, oh my God, I can't do this again. And the next morning, it's up and at it again. So it's one of my favorite things to do as a publicist is go to these events. I love events, and then the writers conferences and all the other lots of stuff. But I hear you, Haley. It really has, and every time you go, it's a different experience.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to save James, you, and Athena for last because I want to really have you guys sum up what you got out of this week. But David, what stands out for you?
Well, this has been a whole lot of fun. My book's only been out for 3 weeks, so I'm still kind of my feet aren't completely on the ground from being that I'm a published author now. Whereas I've spent so long writing and editing and preparing and getting ready to be an author, and it's still hard for me to believe that it's actually come true. Doing the book fair like this. I'm looking forward to when the world settles down a little bit and we can see people in person and talk to people one-on-one at a booth or a book signing or anything like that. But for right now, I'm still riding the high.
Remember, so we have lots of events in Houston, and each year we have, when a normal year, we have our Indie Palooza for independent authors. And then in the beginning of the year, we have one for authors looking for agents. So I've already told James and Athena, I'm telling everybody, my husband and I live in the downstairs of a almost 5,000 square foot house, and the upstairs, everybody's moved out. So we can have a party and everybody come down for one of the book events. And I would love to have you all stay here, and we'll talk about that when we get into the year and it becomes, we can do things in person. So David, congratulations. You are now a published author. Yay, that was great. So I'm gonna recommend this to people in the next year that, you know, they contact you to read their book or do the narration for them. I think you have a career in that. So John, what stood out for you this week?
What stood out? I guess it was kind of a learning experience. It really kind of opened up the perspective that, you know, the literary community, if you will, is a really big universe, you know, and like I used to go with my parents to help them with their craft shows because my mom's an artist, and we used to go to these expos, and I would work their booth and set up on all that stuff. And you know, I never really thought of it like there could be like booths and booths and booths of authors and, you know, publishers and this huge collaboration of kindred spirits and minds that sort of operate in the same sort of right hemisphere and, you know, left hemisphere reliance and all that jazz. I just thought it was really cool. But also, you know, I always like the opportunity to, I hate to sound pedantic, but I always like the opportunity to explain things to people. And really what stood out to me the very most was the opportunity to explain the two different pillars of science fiction and how my book kind of achieves both, and sort of, you know, shameless promotion, but I wanted to promote that in itself, but also, you know, one of the best times for me was the chance to read out loud, because I am classified as a hardcore science fiction author. Yet my funnest time this week was actually being given the opportunity to read from my book in the romance. And the reason why is because none of anything that I do in science fiction, for me, I don't know how every artist feels about this, but for me, nothing matters in science fiction if you cannot connect to the person at a spiritual or personal level, which is why I tried to create that tapestry in my novel that really, you know, it mattered to these people. You know, so what stood out to me is really just that, just how it kind of reinforces my theory that really and not to jump ahead, but Mark Everglade is an author who's on our panel tonight. He's a wonderful author. He wrote a wonderful science fiction book, and his book is entirely about how it affects people at sort of an anthropological level, if you will. And that's like, you know, so I basically, if my book is, I'm gonna shamelessly steal a quote, but if my book has seen farther than any before, it's because I stand on the shoulders of people like Mark. You know what I mean? So anyway, what stood out to me was actually just being able to suture the connection between the two different genres. Like you've got science fiction and its thing over here, and it's completely reliant on romance. You know what I mean? Even though it's a completely different genre, I just think that's kind of interesting. But
I think it is.
I don't know if that makes any sense to you. I might be getting.
Yes, and you know, it might not have made as much sense to me before I heard you read that portion when you read it the other night, and that was brilliant. I loved it. So yes, absolutely, John. Great book, and I appreciate that. And now we're going to ask Mark to go ahead and tell us. And Jack, you joined a little bit late, but what we're doing is just thinking back over the week. I'm going to give you a minute to think. What stood out for you during this week? Just think of something that you want to talk about. And Mark, you're up.
I really enjoyed hearing Athena read Barbara Harrison's Get Out Now. Violent scenes like the ones in Get Out Now are so hard to write because you don't want to glorify violence, and domestic violence itself is such a sensitive issue that it takes a complete mastery to convey that topic empathetically. I also think it's hard to write a sci-fi novel like John Ford did, and I love the book reading because it has spiritual implications. And science and religion are so at odds with one another sometimes throughout the centuries that it's difficult to blend those together without alienating the audience. And to be able to pull off that also requires a certain mastery and a unique approach. So I really admire those things.
Very good. Thank you, Mark. Zach, you were on several nights. So what stood out to you from the Miami Book Fair and our experience of being on every night, being live? And you're muted, Zach.
Sorry, there we go. There we go. Sorry about that. I got stuck at the beach. My apologies.
Oh,
So
Not a bad place to be stuck, Zach.
yeah, you know, sunset and the surf. I'm sorry. So it's but it's the thing that stuck out for me more than anything was actually the fact that James has corralled or curated a very interesting group of people who have done some very interesting stuff. I think, you know, like David, the historian who's done fantasy. Yeah, we have John, who's in fashion, who's done sci-fi. You know, then you know, obviously you have marine biologists like Haley, who've then done fantasy again. You know, it's very interesting, and you know, myself as well, done a little bit of historical fiction, plus some others, and I think it's very interesting, and I that's been something that's been very refreshing, and I've actually learned a lot from different people, and I think hopefully they've learned a lot from me, so we've all learned from each other, and I think the fact that we've all popped our cherries, for want of a better term, as authors in this few months has been interesting, and I'm really looking forward to this year coming when we're having more writing, and I've felt quite inspired, you know, with speaking with, you know, I speak with Mark, I speak with John quite regularly, you know, and it's great, you know, they're very intelligent people.
Very good. Okay, so that's the Rock Hill authors. Amy, I didn't ask you, do you want to talk about something that stood out for you this week before we turn it over to James and Athena?
Oh, sure. I mean, I won't deny a reason to talk. So I guess for me, it was just the whole week was a lot of fun, and I feel like I got to know you guys a lot deeper because I don't meet with you guys weekly like Sandy does. So I got to kind of get a better feel of why you guys write the genres that you write and the books that you write. But you've also like educated me on the reason behind why you write. And I like to hear those stories as to why you write the way that you do and the stories that you write and the genres. So learning all of that from you guys this week and listening to you guys read your books and just having the passion kind of come out, that makes the week worth it for me, because that's the most exciting part of doing this whole thing for me, in my personal opinion. But I love all of you guys.
And that was great. Yes, we love you guys. So now I'm going to Athena, I'm going to turn it over to you first, and then James, I'll let you close. But Athena, just talk about some things that stood out for you this week.
What I really enjoyed about the week was that we got to see each person's character, and not only in real life, but within their writing as well. So the character, the intelligence, the humor that comes forth from each person. And I really enjoyed that because it shows everybody how different and how alike we are as well at the same time, and that we can bring our knowledge to entertain and inform the world. And so I enjoyed that, to see each one's character come forward and shared that with everybody.
Very good. Thank you. James.
Okay, I'm here. I'd like to just say that me and Athena have been to several of these things already. And doing this as virtual and being able to get together with all the writers. I mean, we did these before, we talked to each other, but to be able to just to break them out into their own type of genre and have them play off of each other and discuss the different topics. As you know, I write in different genres, so I cover several of the different genres that they do. So I'm interested to see, and I like for them to express how they approach the fields as it was. And every one of them, each one of the authors here are way smarter than me. I'll say that right now. We have people who are well educated. And the thing is, I don't know any of my authors other than their writing before I sign them. So I don't meet them beforehand. I don't know what their life is like beforehand or anything like that. I only know what they wrote. And therefore, when we have this virtual thing, and now the world can meet them as I have met them over the months, because once we start the production process and the publishing process, then yeah, I do get to meet them. I do get to talk to them. But it's so much, how we say, anxiety over getting the book out, and so much, drive to getting the product out and to get their ideas out there, that you really don't get the chance to sit back and enjoy each other's company. And that's what I really liked about this week. I only wish that we could have done it in person in Miami, because it's wonderful down in Miami. Haley, very envious of you that you live in Miami. One day I'm moving to Miami. Once I leave Virginia,
You should be
I'm heading
envious of
south.
me during the summer. During the winter, absolutely.
Oh, I like the summer too. I've been to Miami in the summer. It's hot and sticky, but I love that. It doesn't
It's
bother
awful
me.
during the summer.
It's
I hate the cold. See, I hate the cold.
because that's the way it is here in Texas in the summer.
Yeah, it's
We
like
always
that here
tell-
in Virginia too in the summer. It's hot and sticky in the summer. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Virginia is not cool in the summer. It's very hot and sticky in Virginia in the summer.
Oh yes, we're a swamp, Virginia, where I'm at anyway.
I believe that
Well,
Haley and
And
I.
Florida's not a swamp? I'm just curious.
Yes, it is.
Florida is literally the OG swamp, guys. Like,
It is, yeah.
you cannot get swampier than Florida.
It's not as hot in
Gatorland.
Cleveland, but we have a lake behind us, so we get the humidity too. We know all about the 80%.
Okay, so
And I would like to also mention Myron Edwards, who cannot be here because he's in Cyprus, and Barbara Harrison, who's the other writer who's from South Africa, like Athena. And we know how it is to be across the seas and everything, because when Athena's home, I talk to her at 3 o'clock in the morning, her time. She talked to me at 3 o'clock in the morning, my time. So we make the sacrifice, and we get up and we talk to each other, because we have to and things like that. But I can understand nobody wanted to be out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to do a half-hour Zoom meeting. So, but Myron is another historical fantasy writer. Like myself, he wrote a historical fantasy. And Barbara, as you heard Athena read her work, fantastic. And her work is very, very interesting. And it's a very hard subject to cover. And when I read her work, it was like, oh yeah, the way things are going in America, it was something that had to be put out. And so I want to make sure we don't forget about them, because they're not on screen, and it's very easy not to mention somebody you don't see. And I want to make sure they get their due.
we need to make sure, Amy, that we tag them and when we're doing the posting too, so they can see that we haven't forgotten them. So James, I do want you to, so we've had a great time. We've had a great time all week. We've got together live every day. We talked with the sci-fi and fantasy authors. We've talked with the romance. We had one evening where we did a discussion on fiction, which that could have been a 2 or 3 hour discussion, because that was really, we got deep into the fiction. So, but the goal, obviously, even though we don't talk about it a lot, the goal really is to sell books. So everybody here has a book, and they all have their books for sale. And right now they are for sale in our booth on the Miami Book Fair, the marketplace. So James, talk about some of the specials that you have going on in the book sales, some of the pricing and all of that you have going on, and for how long?
Yeah. Okay, so if you go through the marketplace, would probably be the easiest way to find it. So you go on the Miami Book Fair, you go through the marketplace, you find our dragon, and go to the marketplace. You'll see two links, one for the print books and one for the ebooks. Now the ebooks are 99 cents, and they will be 99 cents for as long as the Miami Book Fair goes on, because this is not the end of the Miami Book Fair. It ends tonight, but they're going to keep the site going for another month or so. And the other link is for the print books. And now we're running the special on the print books, which is a 20% off. So you'll go to the link, you'll see the link to get to the print book, and all the print books, whether they're hardcover or soft or paperbacks, and they're 20% off with the code of MBF 2020, Miami Book Fair 2020. So MBF 2020, put that in when you check out, and you get the 20% off of any print book from Rock Hill. So everybody here is going to give up 20% of their profits, but that's fine. We don't mind. And naturally, it's probably going to come out of my end more than anybody else's. But
Thanks, James. Thanks, James.
You are
Or
welcome.
The publisher just seems to be the one that puts the bill for the most part. So
For the most part, yes. But you know, if they're successful, I'm successful, and that's the way I look at it. That's always the way I look at it. When
Sure,
they're
we like to make
successful,
money.
I'm successful.
So we
What's
like
that?
to make money, but we want you to read our books. That, you know, the money's great, but we want readers.
Yeah, we
Totally
always
second
want
that, like-
readers, and we always want reviewers. We love those stars. Let's face it.
Yeah, totally agree, guys. Don't need the money. I mean, the money's great, but I want you to read my book. I want you to enjoy my book. That for me is the most important thing.
And you know, I love it that you guys are saying that, because I think that is true of any author I have ever known or ever worked with. Yes, the money's nice, the money's wonderful. And if you get to where you sell 1 million copies, it's even more wonderful. However, the big thing that most authors will say to me, it was worth it all when somebody comes up and talks to them about they read their book, they got something great out of it, or they passed it on, or something. Just knowing that their book touched somebody is really what it's all about. So I love that. Thank you for saying that, David, and everybody else chiming in. Haley.
And I always say my favorite saying is, a book is never finished until it's been read.
That's a great saying. That's a great quote. You should start using that quote on some of your images and stuff. So say it again.
A book is never finished until it's been read.
Very good. I love that. I'm going to write
Is that 20% discount or not?
Yeah, it's still 20% discount. We still need the money.
Okay. What about audiobooks? Are we going to do some audiobooks?
Are you talking about the audio things that we have to play? So we're going to do that.
No,
but
audiobooks. Would you like to do some audiobooks? We have audiobooks too.
audiobooks in general. Okay. Let's talk about that. Haley, are you planning to do an audiobook?
It's not in the works yet. It's something I would really, really like to do. A lot of my friends kind of that Gen Z where they're like, ooh, reading, that requires a lot of work, but we'll listen to an audiobook. And I feel like that's a great venue too, especially for people who, you know, have long drives or are working out. So it's something I want to do in the future. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's in the budget for this year, maybe in 2021. We'll see. That's something I'm gonna have to discuss with James and Athena, but it's something I would absolutely love to do.
What about you,
Well, since you
David?
mentioned me, I'm going to say it's definitely in the works for 2021.
Yay!
We're going to take a look and see how we can do it and who we should fire off first, second, third, you know, that kind of thing. But maybe I'll just roll dice. Or maybe some people say, no, not my book. But you know, I think that audiobooks are the way to go. They're no longer the wave of the future. Let's face it, they are here to stay. And so
Absolutely.
so we have to get into it.
In 70,
You could argue that's going back to the old school, like, you know, the Iliad and the Odyssey were sung like bards with a you know, they did rhyme, you know, it's like that's how it works. So we're going back, it's like full circle, you know. I mean, it's full circle. We're just going back to the old school. That's all.
Yeah,
I don't
reading
think
was a
mine
performance.
rhymes, and I don't think it could be put to song, but I get what your point is.
Anybody
Well,
else?
no.
Any
Go
other?
ahead, David. You've been trying to jump in. Go ahead, David.
Oh, I was going to just echo what Haley was saying, is that you know, and as Zach was saying, the reading as a performance, you know, it was all oral histories until we started putting things, carving things into tablets, and then eventually putting things on paper and papyrus. And yeah, an audiobook is great, especially for Haley and I. Fantasy works very well in an audio format. It's just, figuring out how it gets done, the studio time, the directing, multiple cuts, whether we want to read our own books or have a professional voice actor. All of that would be wonderful. It's figuring out the logistics of it.
Yep, that's true. The logistics of it. That is something to consider, and that'll be some things we can talk about going forward. So right now we're coming up on the weekend after first of all, Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving, of course, will be this coming Thursday, and then Friday, Black Friday. Saturday is Small Business Saturday, Sunday is a break, and then Monday is Cyber Monday, and Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. So the holidays are the best time of the year to sell books. We all know that. Books make a great gift, even though you can give them, there are different seasons and different promotions. As a marketing person, that's one of the things I look for. If it's coming up on the summer, then what makes a good beach read? But in the holidays, that's the time that we really can focus on buying a book as a gift. So, Amazon makes millions with their Black Friday sales that they've started selling all year long. But there will be some specials on this Friday after Thanksgiving. So one of the things that we will be doing, and James, I want you to talk for a minute about some things that you're going to be doing as the publisher to promote the books during this weekend. So anything specifically you want to talk about? Or if any of you want to talk about what we're doing for your book for this weekend, then you can go after James as soon as James is done.
Okay. Let me make sure I'm not muted. Oh, okay, I'm not. So what we're doing for the Black Friday, we have book bundles, which is 2 or 3 books in each category, each genre. So we'll have them in science fiction, we have them in the regular fiction, we have them in fantasy, romance, and depends upon the size of the books or the information. We may have only 2 books in a bundle, or we may have 3 books in a bundle. But all the bundles will be for $30. So they'll go online through Rock Hill Publishing. You'll be able to go to the Rock Hill Publishing bookstore, and you'll see the special offer there. And you'll see the different bundles, and the different bundles will tell you which books are in the bundle. So they're broken out as to genre, but then within that genre, you'll see maybe 1, maybe 2 or 3 books, depending upon, what genre it is and things like that. So each bundle will cost the same amount. So it depends upon which bundle you buy. You're still going to pay the same amount, $30, which is a very good price for some of the books. Just about every single book is at least $20. Hardcover as well as soft covers. A lot of the books are at least $20, but these are bundles for the soft covers, for the paperbacks. I would lose my shirt if I did them on the hardcovers. So paperback books, $30 a bundle. And this is a good deal because you may like science fiction, but the books in the science fiction bundle will be different depending upon the 2 books that you buy or the 3 books that you get. You're going to find very different forms of science fiction. So you'll get cyberpunk and you'll get hard science fiction, or if you're getting romance, you'll get 2 very different types of romance or fantasy, that kind of thing. So when you buy a book bundle, you're going to find out that you get a variety of information, a variety of styles of writers, because every one of these writers write in a different style. Even though we cross over into the different genres, so some people write in sci-fi, some people write in fantasy, but what they write is very different.
I totally second James. As the person who photographed all the bundles, trying to find common themes between some of the different books in the bundles was really hard. I spent like 3 hours doing these photographs, and you guys will be able to find them on Instagram under the name of @by_HC Kilgour. They'll also be on Facebook, and I'm sure the rest of the Rock Hill writers will be sharing them. I had a lot of fun taking those photographs. For as much headache as they were, it was actually a lot of fun too.
Just think how hard it was for me to try to put those bundles together and see who should I pair up with who.
I don't want to think about that. I had enough trouble just doing the visuals for it. I don't want to think about the logistics of it. Oh my goodness.
Haley, can you give us that one more time, and we'll put that in the comments?
I already did it. But
Good.
again, just for the audio, you can find them on Instagram under the account of @by_HC Kilgour. That's mine. But I'm sure the rest of the Rock Hill writers will be sharing them too on both Instagram and Facebook. Again, I had a lot of fun taking the photos. I hope you enjoy seeing them, and I hope you enjoy reading the books.
Okay, I am on your account on Instagram. Now, where do I go to see the book pictures?
I haven't posted them yet. I'm waiting until Black Friday to do that. Just,
okay,
the whole
that's what was
just to make it super
confusing
special.
me.
I guess I should have specified that. Yes, they're not out yet.
I just don't see the books. Okay, thank you.
And let me just say that the bundles aren't available yet either, because we're waiting for Black Friday. So if you go to Rock Hill
okay.
Publisher and you go looking for the special page, you're not going to see it yet. We're waiting to unveil everything when we get closer to the Black Friday.
Very good.
Black Friday is going to be
Is there also like a secret surprise as well that you're unveiling on Black Friday as well? Like some other special offers that you're not telling us about yet. Isn't that right, James?
There's all sorts of special offers coming up. So yes, there will be a.
Well, we better promote
We
those
have
then.
lots of fun planned for the weekend. So we have lots of fun planned on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So you guys, yes. And if you have ideas for things you want to do for your book that you want us to promote on those days, this is a great time to be putting the books in, to have a special. And then Amy and I are working on, that's a great idea, David. That's a great reminder. So David is talking about the fact that we were giving to the National Food Bank from the bundles. So
Nice.
we need to be really promoting that. I can tell you that my husband and I bought sandwiches yesterday from, I forgot the name of the place even, because my husband saw that they're contributing 25% of everything they made yesterday to the food bank. So he's like,
Sandy, I think that what we're going to do for the food bank is just for the Giving Tuesday, that we're just going to give like a 10, 15%. I'll talk with you. I'll talk with the writers.
okay,
A 10 or 50% or whatever they buy. So it's not going to be tied into the other discount. It'll just
Okay.
be on whatever single book they buy. And we'll
That's
give that to the National Food Bank.
Okay,
Yesterday, I went to what we have here at the Mayflower Marathon, which I go to every year, and drop off turkeys and food and things like that. And I just like to say, thanks, David, for reminding us that people are in need of food this year, more than ever so before. And I do it every year. I give food to the marathon. I give money. I posted a nice shirt that they give you. They give you a nice shirt every year for doing it. And but this year, more than any other year, we have seen lines and lines and lines all over the country for people who have lost their job because of COVID. We're lucky in that we can still work, most of us, in our other field, in our daytime job, and we can also work at night or our nighttime writing books. But there are a lot of people who their daytime job is all they have. And when that goes, everything goes.
And by
And
the grace of God, huh?
Absolutely.
yes, yes.
Absolutely.
That's a famous saying by my mom.
Yep.
Except
I
for the
love
grace
that
of God,
statement.
there goes I.
Yeah.
And believe me,
And
you-
David,
if
that
you-
was very
you have
true.
to feel that.
David just put a comment that you can take 100% of his sales and give it to the food bank. So I even love that we have a new saying this year. It's called food insecurity. And I'm like, so that means you don't have food. You have no food for the next day.
We
And
used to call it hunger.
I know. I'm like, okay, that's just a nice way of saying people are going hungry.
Yes.
So I don't think we ought to pretty it up. I think being
No,
hungry
we
is-
shouldn't.
yeah. So I just heard somebody announce that the other day. We have this many people that have food insecurity, and I'm like, no, that's called hunger. Okay, so
Yeah, if it
Zach,
walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Well, let me put it
absolutely.
out there. Let me put it out there. If is everybody okay with giving 100% of what we sell on
Yeah, I am.
Tuesday
I am.
to the? You
Oh,
are.
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. There is someone out there who needs that more than me. I'm going to be okay. I want to make sure someone else is going to be just as
All right.
okay as me.
Well,
Absolutely.
David, thank you for leading the way. We'll all follow your lead.
That is absolutely.
I'm fat. I can give away a day's food.
That's great.
Yeah, I got quite the winter storage here, so I'm okay.
I know. Okay, so Zach, I know we have some recordings to play. How long do we need for those?
Oh, 50, well, each one's about 50 seconds.
Oh,
But
How many
Zach,
do you
tell us
have?
about them first. Tell us about this,
Oh
this
yeah,
company.
so forgive, sorry, yeah, so I met, I was helping Julie, as you know, with her audiobook, and I was sort of chatting with her and you know, sort of telling her which was the best character for her voice, etc., just with a bit of knowledge that I have. And I was down in Austin for my day job, which is a biologist, and so I was down there and I was meeting with some friends of friends, and there's another friend of mine. He's working on this speech to text technology for deaf people, and I was like, well, dude, you know, why don't you just like help me out here and, you know, do something with the book? Cut a long story short, he got very inspired by it, and then I roped in our two resident ingeniuses in the group, Mark and John, to help me out, and one having the hardcore sci-fi and the other one having the emotional sci-fi, the cyberpunk. So so the yin and the yang, and actually between us, we sort of basically help them sort of formulate something that makes them sense. But the beauty of it is, in these insecure times, it's much more cost effective. But the beauty is they have the emotion still in the voice, which is like very hard to do. And so it obviously come out of the left field a little bit. And so, you know, we were just chatting away, and it just so happened that, you know, Miami Book Fair came along at the same time. So John and Mark have been really cool about helping out and giving pieces of their book, which actually, I mean, there's some good stuff in there. Even with Colton sticking his butt cheeks up, you know. And so it's but also the you know, so yeah, we got a couple of clips and their voices, but I think they should be played first before you actually hear about what it's about, you know. So it's one clip is from John's book, one clip is from Mark's book, and there's a clip from mine.
okay.
So they're all different. If you want to play them all, I mean, if not, you can choose whichever you'd like.
Well, I think if we're going to play one, we play all if they're that long. So, Amy, are you ready?
Yes, but I only have 2 clips. I don't have.
Which ones do you have?
I only have Mark and John's. I don't have yours, Zach.
Oh my God.
That's the way it usually goes, Zach. You're the one who brought it in, and you're the last
I
one to
know,
get it.
you know. I'm always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Zach, I'll email Amy yours. I have yours.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
No, if
Sure.
we
But
have
thank you,
that, that's
thank you,
great,
George.
Mark, please do that. That'd be
Thanks,
great.
Mark.
All right.
Okay.
It wasn't in the email I received. I'm so
No,
sorry.
it's okay. It's okay because we got links and it's open for another month. And actually, it's just the beginning. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning of the Miami Book Fair, the virtual Miami Book Fair. We got another month of this.
Yeah.
Let's go, yep, there.
Okay, I'm gonna hit play and someone let me know if you can hear it.
But Mark, you have Amy's email address, right? To send it to her.
Yes, it'll be there in about 1 minute.
Okay.
Nice. Okay,
Okay.
so let me know if you can hear it.
Dominion by John Ford, brought to you by WordSonic.
Gotcha.
Is there any other way to roll back the recording? Maybe the power hiccuped and the bus stopped the recording. I'm spitballing here. I can see you're pretty seriously freaked out. But there's always tomorrow, bro. We'll do it again if we have to. Colton exhaled, I guess. No choice. He looked up and nodded. Tomorrow then. Hey, come, let's bounce for the night. You should give Monica a call. Give her some updates. It might help you focus. How about hooking up later at the pub? Unwind a little. Jack attempted to advertise with a party grin. Good idea, Colton agreed with wincing eyes, but as he rose to his feet, lost his balance. Jack moved fast to support him. You okay, buddy? Clearing his throat, Colton nodded. I'm fine. Stood up too fast or something. Been sitting too long, I guess. Dude, that looked like a bit more than that. It wasn't the same thing as before, was it? No, I don't think so.
Nice. Okay.
Ah, and that was John's book. That was Dominion.
Yes, so now I have.
And the thing is, you know, you're going to remember that these are still works in progress. In other words, it's even better than that. We just don't have lots of time. We'll have some links through the Rock Hill Publishing for so you can get hold of WordSonic. But
This is emerging technology, so you know, as they develop it, as they work on it, it's going to be better.
But the thing is here, what you're hearing is it's a voice. It's a voice to give you the sentiment of the novel. So if you hear the other voices, you'll hear different voices.
Hopefully this is the appropriate time to add this bit of like perspective or advice or whatever you want to call it on that. I don't think it really matters, for me anyway, so much that we get the intonation of each individual character and those exchanges down to some kind of realistic cinema format, because we're not doing a movie here. I mean, this is the way people tend to read. They may have some of these inflections in their mind as they go along, but it's not. The information is what's paramount. And I really like that delivery in that format. And I may be a little bit self-motivated, I admit, by saying this, but my book kind of deals with AI. So I like the way that it has that kind of flavor. You know what I mean?
But that's exactly why we created it that way.
Well, maybe we'll get a different idea from Mark when we hear his. I don't know, but I really like that actually. I think it'd be wonderful to know that somebody's driving across the country and they're enthralled with, you know, that's a scene where Colton and him are first experiencing some of the weird things that start happening when they encounter the fruits of their technology, you know. So that's good. So
all right, let's hear Mark's now.
Mark Everglade. Brought to you by WordSonic. Variations on a Dream. Chapter 1. These days when each of us an Atlas shrugging, trying to get yet another Hercules, but already tasked to the hilt to bear the burden of sustaining society, we work to overcome our learned helplessness. Self-worship is the self's worship set across a sea of entitlement before sinking into despotism. Is this what we seek? Is intention the god of action, or do we just act? So we learn we can alter our course, but we're still stranded because we're setting sail with only our false selves in mind. If we try to conserve what is, we undo it. So be it. All stabilization leads to the conflict that destroys it. Our humanity lies in how we resolve that conflict, for if it's destruction they want, we shall deliver it. Our dreams flow between what is and what could be. Come, let us.
That is Mark's that I have. So let me down.
I love that line in there about the destruction. That's a great line he wrote there. That's one of my favorite parts of his book.
What about I like the sea of entitlement sinking into despotism. That's great.
Yeah, that too.
Despotism in the old school means a ruler. It doesn't mean a dictator. Despotikos is a ruler, and so and I use the word despot in my book, and of course, but I like the sea of entitlement. Trust me, I'm in Southern California. I see it all the time. It's right.
Okay, so we have Zach's to go then. Amy, you have that one ready?
I do. Yes, it should start playing automatically. If it doesn't, then I'm in trouble. So let's hope I'm not in trouble.
With speed that surprised the boys, the two fat brigands rushed at the bather, swords raised for killer blows on either side. It seemed an eternity to the youngsters. The warrior did not move, keeping his arms firmly to his side. The left sword aimed for a disembowelment and the right to cleave his head from his shoulders. Then as the left blade closed for the killing blow, he reacted. The speed was mesmerizing in spite of his size. He stepped to his right and gripped the bandit by his sword wrist. With a deft touch, he used the attacker's force against him and threw him into the side of the huge stone vessel, knocking him temporarily unconscious. The other attacker had swished his sword in the now vacant space, losing his balance and landing in a heap next to his comrade.
Nice.
Now that one sounds like Patrick Stewart to me. I don't know exactly how to put a finger on Mark's, but it sounds like Patrick Stewart. I'm thinking Picard.
The inflection's great.
Doing Hamlet, yes.
Okay, so Zach, you wanted to hear them first before we discuss them. So, so let's discuss. Tell us about them.
Well, I mean, I think that we were. What did you think of them, guys? I mean, you know, I know Mark and John have heard them all, but what did you guys think of them all?
I thought they were really cool. I like the fact that you can actually hear breaths in it, so it doesn't sound quite so computerized. It sounds like there actually is somebody reading them, and that there's different voices, different intonations. I really like what I'm hearing.
Say something.
You weren't on mute there, James.
I know I wasn't unmuted. I wanted to ask Athena, she wanted to say something, but she's a silent partner over there. She really doesn't like to speak. Only Sandy can get her to talk.
I love that. I was going to say, but when she does speak, you understand. People listen. We should listen.
So what did you think, Athena?
Okay, we can't hear her, James, because somehow you got her muted.
No, no.
Okay.
I think it's promising. I mean, obviously, this is the birth of something new. So in the beginning, there's always little glitches and things that maybe are a little not there, but I can see this can be worked upon and become something great.
So for the people watching this, either whether you're watching it live on Facebook or you're watching it later on YouTube, explain, Zach, what it was. It was artificial intelligence reading it, right? Or explain it.
Well, I mean, it was definitely a lot of artificial. I don't know how intelligent it was, but it was really, it's interesting. Those voices don't exist. They're not real people. Those voices are totally a construct of a computer. But as you can hear the Picard, and he swished with his sword, with his button, yeah, like that, right? Well, that was obviously based on another voice. That was something that I read, and then he based it around that, right? So he, actually, I call him he. It's a computer, but it's I know already it's getting that bad, isn't it? But it's a work in progress in the sense of we want the information through, but as John rightly points out, the way that people read in their heads are very different. Like we say yacht, but until I was like 16, 17 years old, I used to read yacht. Every time in my head, I wrote yacht.
I got a whole raft of words like that I don't even know how to pronounce now.
Exactly. So, or Minoans, I'd called Myonians. You know, it's just one of the things that you do. So I think that, you know, where that makes that difference between it sounding sort of, you know, like the Impossible Burger or it's fake meat. How it feels like is really, it's not just the intonation, but it's actually understanding who your audience is and who we are. So maybe someone who's reading Haley's book has a Gen Zer wants to listen to it a certain way, as opposed to a baby boomer who wants to listen to it another way. And I think that's something that's the interesting part of it. And the artificial intelligence, it really comes from the fact that it's actually, there's not really that many technical people involved. It's more their musicians or their linguists or their biologists. You know, I mean, Haley as a marine biologist might, and always probably wondered how do you speak dolphin language? You know how you speak dolphin language, Haley? I mean, oh, come on, I know at college, I spent years working out, like, I wonder if I could learn dolphin language. And I know you're laughing because you know what I'm talking about.
Be a dolphin trainer, so like
Yeah.
there is no physical way to speak dolphin. Their range is like, so ours is here and dolphin is like here and yeah, like we physically can't communicate
True.
with them.
You know what? But I used to say to them, you want to impress me, drive a car. Go on, dolphin, drive a car. But they're right. They go, and they tick, tick, tick. So that's really where the AI comes in. I think this group of people here with intelligence that we all have and the different aspects of it, because intelligence is a relative viewpoint, isn't it? It's a relative viewpoint. You have someone, you have someone from Papua New Guinea who's lived in the jungle all his or her life. Do an IQ test, they're going to fail miserably. I'd love to see how good we would be lighting a fire without some lighter fluid.
Oh, I would die. I would die in like
Yeah, exactly.
Well-
so who's the smarter one? Who's the smarter one? The one who can use the iPhone or the one who can eat? So it's.
But let me put it this way.
I
I've heard other AI program because I am a programmer. So I have dabbled in some of this other stuff, and not so much speech to text, but like what we're doing now, Zoom. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, just for the hell of it, just because it was a new technology, I wrote something for my sons and myself, and everybody in the house had their own little computer, which I set up the computer network. And I wrote this sharing program, which is VoIP, voice over IP, and then file thing.
Right.
So at the infancy of it, at the beginning of these technologies, we have this rudimental type of beginning, and you can send text files, you can do a little bit with pictures or things like that, or voice. But now look at it. Now we have Zoom and Skype, and Skype is probably kicking themselves because Skype didn't move into file sharing and things like that. They stay with voice over technology, voice over IP, and just the voice type of stuff, just the text type of stuff. They didn't go with all of the other things that Zoom took off and went with. And so now Zoom, of course, is the major player in the marketplace.
So James, let me ask you, is Zoom going, thank God there was a pandemic?
Yes, they are. And anybody who bought Zoom stock is saying, please God, don't let it end.
I got
Oh,
into this philosophical argument with this guy from Wall Street who was investing in all of these in post-Katrina. He was invested in all these firms that rebuild and do construction and all this other stuff. And I'm like, so doesn't that mean you're intrinsically wanting of these storms to cause the peril that they do and all that stuff? And it just stopped the conversation.
Yeah, people don't like conversation like that. Like,
I was just giving them grief. I wasn't,
But the idea is that these things do become, do get out there. And that's what happens in science fiction. We see what is there, and we project, and we, think about, all right, well, where will it take us in the next 10 years? Where will it take us in the next 20 years? Where will it take us in the next 1,000 years?
One of the big sci-fi guys, a guy called John Brunner. He did a sci-fi book in 1968. I can't remember what the name of it was.
Shockwave Rider?
Yes, yeah.
One of those,
brilliant.
yeah.
I mean, absolutely
Sure.
nailed it. Nailed it.
What was his
Nailed
name?
it.
What was his
John
name?
Brunner. His name's John Brunner. And he
Okay.
was an English scientist. 1968 he wrote. And it's ironic because he's actually got the same name as one of my closest friends. So I think it's ironic of all things. But
Okay.
it's like, yeah, it's like,
Zach,
yeah.
how do we let anybody that wants to listen to those again? Do you have a link for them somewhere?
I have a link. I have a link on my. I have a link through. We can do shockwave. We can do audio wave through. We'll have the link through Rock Hill, and I have a link on my personal website. But just the best thing is there'll be a link on Rock Hill, and we'll put it through an audio wave. You can contact them directly.
And they'll be on the YouTube channel too.
Yeah,
they'll be on the
These files
YouTube
will be
channel.
up
Yeah, the
on the
YouTube
YouTube.
channel. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we had it on, and I'm right now looking at the live on Facebook, and I just wanted to put a link or something so anybody wanted to listen.
Well,
to
anybody who goes to the YouTube channel by tonight, the end of tonight, they'll see them there. There'll be something up there.
I'm afraid I have to go back because I've got to go and back to see the family at the beach.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
We need to be
Bye.
closing anyway. So Zach, thank you for that. We love
Yep,
it.
Zach,
Thank you very
thanks
much.
for showing up. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll see you Wednesday.
Yep. Ciao.
So any last word from anyone? We have about 5 minutes if anybody wants to have a last word. If not, James, I'm going to turn it over to you to close this out. But Athena, did you have anything you wanted to end with? You're still muted.
I was just saying, I don't really have anything to say except that I'm really glad we spent this time together, because it's a support group basically, because so that we can all share with each other and uplift and support, because the path of a writer is a strange one. There can be success, there can be whether it's high, medium, or very low, and you doubt yourself sometimes and you think, why am I doing this? Yet I can't stop doing it. So what is it all worth? So this way, you know that there's a group of people, even though there's a lot of writers in the world, but there's a specific small group of people that you can reach out to if you need to talk, if you need to discuss some things. And that is the important thing, that, you know, we can lend a hand to each other and help each other whenever we need to.
And so, are you planning to take on any new clients in 2021, Athena, you or James?
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will get. I am already working on a new manuscript that I've already edited twice. So that's a brand new writer who, as I've already told him to join our groups and everything, but like all of you were so shy in the beginning and didn't want to, you know, it's that thing of strangeness and who are these people and all of that. So I have already invited him to start joining our group and everything, but he hasn't yet. So we'll see.
I know that you'll keep on with him. I think that one of the things that most people will get after listening to these videos and audios and seeing what all the different Rock Hill authors have said is that I think every author is going to say, wow, I want to be published by Rock Hill, because you guys do a lot. You do have your authors to become a team, a family, and I love that. And I do love these meetings that we have weekly. So thank you. So James, any last thing from you?
Okay, there we go. Have to switch our audios here. I just like to say that next year, God willing, we'll all get together at Haley's house and we'll do the Miami Book Fair live.
You guys have to fight the cat for space. You don't want that. He rules the roost.
But I'm just so glad that we have pushed out. We put out 5 books this year, which was a lot. I was only planning to do like 2 or so a year, but all of you guys, y'all write such fantastic stuff that once we got rolling, we said, let's just get it. Let's just keep going. Let's get them all through now. And especially once COVID hit, it was like, well, we might as well just do it. We can't go out and do the shows because usually when you go out to the shows, they take up so much time and all this kind of stuff. And really, I didn't have any shows I could do. You know, I came off that cruise with Sandy and that kind of thing, and everything just hit a brick wall. And then me and Athena were sitting here, and we were like, well, you know what? While we're here together, working in the same time zone for a chance and for a change, let's see if we can't get this stuff done, because it's a lot harder when you're, 3,000 miles apart and working 12-hour differences and things like that. So once I had her here and we were working together, and really publishing is really a hard job. And I don't know if you guys know it, but it is really a hard job to actually do. And so to get 5 books out, I'm really thinking,
James, so I
Yes.
don't feel so bad that it took me like 4 months to get my manuscript back to you after Athena's iteration.
No, in fact, I was telling you and I was telling everybody else, take your time to get it back to me. Get it corrected, do everything we tell you to do. Take your time, don't rush it. Because the one thing, if you rush it and we have to send it back out again, it's just going to take more time. So
It was like code for, you know what, keep it for a while.
Well, I hate to be the one that calls the party.
It took us 2 years with my manuscript before we were like, okay, it's good. It's
good.
finally like,
And you were
not
the first one, Haley. You're the one that kind of led the pack with all these authors. So I hate to be the one that says it's over, but it is time. And what I just went to the Facebook where we're live and put everything from the booth at the Miami Book Fair there. All the links are there. All the information is there for anybody that wants to reach out to any of those. So if any of you want to go to the Facebook Live on my page and make a comment, feel free. And we will see you guys all on Wednesday, and then get ready for a massive weekend. So have a great week. And tomorrow night, we have the person that created Pod Houston. So he's like the leading podcaster in Houston. He's young, he's a millennial, he's got all this great stuff. So he will be speaking tomorrow night at our event, which is open and free to everyone for the month of December. So we'll be talking more about that. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have a great weekend.
All right. Bye, everybody.